Thank you, Leo, and good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here to give you an update on TNG and our Mount Peake project and how we're progressing this. We've had some significant milestones achieved over the last 18 months, and we're now on the way towards financing and project development. A brief snapshot on the company. We have a number of major investors, still got 12 million in the bank, and a market cap at the moment of just over 100 million. This is the ownership structure of TNG. It's streamlined down to mainly our mining licenses and our technology, all owned 100% by the company. The Mount Peake Project is in the Northern Territory. It's a world-class vanadium-titanium-iron project, strategic metals project. There's an extensive amount of work that we've been done on this project over the last 5 or 6 years. We're now in the final front-end engineering, and we have all of the offtakes in place. Business model is quite simple. We have a single mine, and we're going to be developing 3 high-purity products from this mine: vanadium, titanium, and iron. The mine site is located in the centre of the Northern Territory. It's fully permitted, and the processing plant is going to be located in Darwin, close to the port, on land that's been allocated to us by the Northern Territory government. And there's an environmental surveys underway at the moment, and we see no roadblocks to that being completed and fully permitted during this year. There's a snapshot of the project that we've achieved recently. Not only we had all the offtakes in place, just this week we announced the binding offtake for our titanium pigment, which was the last offtake that we needed to complete. We've also mandated a large German bank, KfW IPEX, for the debt side of the project capital. Mining licenses are all granted, and we have a strategic investor as well from a major Indian iron ore conglomerate completed. The mine site itself is located next to good infrastructure. It's road, rail, and gas. It makes it very, very appealing from an economic perspective. Geologically, it's a flat-lying tabular ore body, very shallow, easy to mine, has good grades. The concentrate grades are the economic factor for us. With our process, we can extract very high recoveries of these, which makes the project have very strong, robust economics. The mining plan is all locked down and frozen. Simply, we're just going to produce a magnetite concentrate on site that then all goes down to the railway and by rail up to Darwin, where we'll have our Taiwan processing facility. The processing facility is on land, as I mentioned, has been allocated exclusively for TNG by the Northern Territory government. It's undergoing environmental survey at the moment and is ideally located next to the railway line and very close to the Darwin port. The Taiwan process is the jewel in the crown of the project. It allows us to extract vanadium, titanium, and iron from a single magnetite concentrate in very high purities and allows very high recoveries. It's developed by TNG. We own it 100%. It was developed with us, the metallurgical consultants METS in Perth, CSIRO, and a very large German metallurgical group called SMS, who are now our development partner. During the course of all the work we've completed on the project, we have a number of tier 1 global groups that have been involved in the project, and some of them still are involved in the development of the project. So we have great confidence in the robustness of this project and getting it into production. It's a very robust project financially. These figures are from the updated definitive feasibility study that we did in 2017. So the actual commodity prices used are from 2017, which are very similar actually to today's prices. Key things to point out: we have a very short payback period, a very high cash flow, 44% IRR, and overall just under 5 billion Australian NPV. It's very high NPV because we were actually dealing with 3 high-value commercial products. As I mentioned, we have offtake agreements in place already with for the vanadium pentoxide, high purity, is going to Korean Woojin Group. That's a binding life of mine offtake agreement. Woojin supply 100% of the ferrovanadium requirements to companies like Hyundai Steel and POSCO. The titanium pigment, as I mentioned, we executed the final binding life of mine offtake agreement this week with a global Swiss-based group called DKSH, of over 800 offices globally, and they will take the product from us at Darwin Port and distribute it to their existing network. So it's a very, very strong offtake agreement for the company. It was the last one that we did. It was very important to get the best deal that we could for one of the best products that we will be producing. Lastly was an iron oxide that comes off as well. It's a very high purity iron oxide. We have a binding terms agreed with Singapore-based Gunvor for a life of mine taking off that product. Previously I mentioned approvals. We've got all of our approvals in place for the mine site. The processing plant is just undergoing the environmental studies. We expect that to be completed very shortly this year. The final engineering and front-end engineering for the processing plant and actually the mine site is underway by the SMS group, and we expect that to be completed by the end of this year. With the TIVM process, there are a number of patents that we've managed to secure in the development of this revolutionary process. It's all using existing technology, but a number of patents that we've put into the global patent network, so that our plan there is a separate business model, if you like, where we can actually provide licensing to companies that may have similar deposits, or we can acquire them ourselves. With respect to financing, as mentioned, we mandated the KfW group towards the end of last year to raise up to $600 million US. They've been looking at the project for over 12 months and like what they saw. We think that'll leave us probably about 200 million Australian, probably to raise on an equity side. We have a number of options that we've looking at, and indeed that's one of the reasons that we do attend these conferences, is to engage with potential investors on both sides. Development milestones and schedule. It just gives you a brief snapshot of our achievements to date and how far advanced this project is. And we see no roadblocks in not putting that into production along those guidelines, subject, of course, to finance. But we expect to have that all completed and locked down by the end of this year, so the company and our board can make a final investment decision and push the button for development. So it's an exciting year for us. These are the next steps. I'm very confident that we'll get a lot of these completed and able to make our final investment decision and swing into development in 2020. Thank you very much for your attention, and please, if you have any other questions, please come round to our booth here. I'd be happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you very much.